Wealth isn't something you chase, it's something you become. Most people spend their entire lives running after money, believing that if they just work harder, hustle longer, sacrifice more, they'll finally have enough. But here's the truth, no one tells you. The millionaire isn't working harder than you. They're thinking differently. They're operating on a different frequency entirely. And until you understand this, until you shift the signal you're broadcasting into the world, you'll keep spinning your wheels, wondering why abundance never quite reaches you. You see it everywhere. Two people with the same education, the same opportunities, the same starting point. One builds an empire, the other stays stuck, paycheck to paycheck, always one crisis away from collapse. What's the difference? It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's not even effort. The difference is internal. It's the frequency they're tuned to. The millionaire frequency isn't about what you do, it's about who you are. It's the energetic signature you carry, the beliefs humming beneath your conscious thoughts, the identity you've claimed for yourself when no one else is watching. Think about it. Money flows toward those who expect it. Not hope for it, not wish for it, expect it. There's a certainty in the minds of wealthy people that most will never understand because they've never felt it. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the quiet knowing that abundance is their natural state, not something they have to beg the universe for or prove themselves worthy of receiving. And that frequency, that internal alignment, changes everything. You've been taught to think of money as scarce, as something you have to fight for, compete for, earn through suffering. The world handed you a story. There's not enough, so take what you can get and hold on to it tight. Protect it. Fear losing it, and from that story you built a life where every decision is tinged with lack, where you hesitate before spending, calculate before giving, and feel a knot in your stomach when the bills arrive. You tell yourself you're being responsible, practical, smart. But what you're really doing is confirming over and over again that you live in a world where money is hard to come by. And the universe, in its infinite responsiveness, says, okay, if that's what you believe, that's what you'll experience. Because here's the thing about frequency. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you are constantly vibrating at the frequency of lack, of fear, of I don't have enough, then that's the reality you magnetize toward you, not because the universe is punishing you, but because you're broadcasting a signal and the universe is simply matching it. Now imagine a different signal. Imagine someone who wakes up every morning and, regardless of their bank account, feels abundant. Not because they're delusional or ignoring reality, but because abundance, to them, isn't a number. It's a state of being. It's the way they move through the world, the way they speak, the decisions they make, the opportunities they notice. This person doesn't say, I can't afford it. They say, how can I afford it? They don't see closed doors. They see puzzles, challenges, games to be played and won. And because they're operating from overflow rather than emptiness, money finds them, not because they're lucky, but because they're open, receptive, aligned. This is the millionaire frequency, and it's not reserved for a select few. It's available to anyone willing to do the inner work required to shift their signal. Let's talk about what that signal is made of. At its core, the millionaire frequency is built on three fundamental beliefs. Three quiet truths that wealthy people carry in their bones, often without even realizing it. The first is this: I am inherently valuable, not because of what I produce or achieve or own, but because I exist. Most people have conditional self-worth. They believe they're only as good as their last success, their current salary, the approval they receive from others. And so they hustle from a place of lack, trying to prove they deserve to exist, to matter, to be seen. But the person tuned to the millionaire frequency doesn't need external validation. They know their worth is intrinsic, and from that place of inner abundance, they create, they build, they attract, not to prove anything, but because it's natural, because overflow is what happens when you already feel whole. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and join a community of awakened souls walking the same journey of spiritual alignment. The second belief is this: money is energy, and energy flows. It doesn't stagnate, it doesn't hide, it moves toward movement. Most people treat money like a scarce resource to be hoarded, clutched, protected. They hold on to every dollar as if letting it go means they'll never see money again. But wealthy people understand circulation. They know that money, like breath, must be exhaled to be inhaled. They invest, they give, they spend without fear because they trust the flow. They know that the universe doesn't reward hoarding, it rewards trust. It rewards the belief that there is always more coming. And that belief, that frequency of circulation and trust, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The third belief is the most powerful. I am the creator of my reality. Not a victim of circumstance, not at the mercy of the economy, the government, the job market, the creator. This is where most people stumble, because taking full responsibility for your financial reality is terrifying. It means you can't blame anyone else. You can't point to external factors and say, that's why I'm stuck. But it also means you have power, complete, total power. If you created this, you can create something different. And that realization, that shift from victim to creator, is the moment everything changes. These three beliefs, these foundational frequencies, create a reality where money is not the enemy, not the struggle, not the thing you spend your life chasing. It becomes a tool, a resource, a natural byproduct of who you are and what you offer the world. And here's where it gets really interesting, because once you embody this frequency, the external world starts to shift in ways that seem almost magical. But it's not magic. It's alignment. Think of it like a radio. Right now, you're tuned to a certain station. Maybe it's the station of struggle, where every song is about hardship and survival and making ends meet. You've been listening to this station for so long, you think it's the only one that exists. But there are infinite stations, infinite frequencies, and the Millionaire frequency is just a different station. Same radio, different signal. When you tune in, suddenly you start noticing opportunities you never saw before. People reach out with offers. Ideas come to you in the shower, doors open that were previously invisible, not because the universe suddenly decided to bless you, but because you're finally receptive to what was always there. This is what wealthy people understand that most don't. They don't see a different world. They see the same world through a different lens, a lens of possibility rather than limitation, a lens of expansion rather than contraction. And that lens, that perspective, that frequency changes the game entirely. Let's go deeper, because this isn't just spiritual philosophy. This is neuroscience. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, a network of neurons that filters information. Every second you're bombarded with millions of bits of sensory data, and your RAS decides what to let through, what to pay attention to. And here's the key. It filters based on what you've told it is important. If you believe money is scarce and hard to come by, your RAS will filter your reality to confirm that belief. You'll notice every bill, every expense, every story of economic struggle. You'll overlook opportunities, dismiss ideas, and unconsciously sabotage potential wins because they don't match your internal programming. But if you reprogram that belief, if you tell your RAS that abundance is your natural state, it will start filtering for evidence of that instead. You'll notice the opportunities, the synchronicities, the people who can help you, the ideas that could change everything. Same world, different filter, different frequency, different results. This is why affirmations work, but only when they're backed by genuine belief. You can't just say, I am wealthy while feeling broke. The dissonance will cancel out the words, but if you do the inner work, if you genuinely shift your identity to someone who expects abundance, who feels worthy of it, who trusts the flow, then those affirmations become confirmation. They reinforce what you already know to be true, and your reality begins to reflect it. Here's what most people get wrong about the millionaire frequency. They think it means pretending to be rich when you're not, faking it till you make it, buying things you can't afford to look successful. But that's not frequency, that's desperation. That's still operating from lack, just with a different costume. True millionaire frequency is internal. It's the peace you feel regardless of your bank balance. It's the way you value your time and energy. It's the standards you hold for yourself and the boundaries you set. It's the refusal to settle, not because you're entitled, but because you know your worth and you trust that what's meant for you will find you. To celebrate your arrival, we've prepared a gift, a guide to help you navigate your inner transitions with clarity and elegance. Alignment, 7 phases of consciousness awakening. Download your copy from the link in the description. It's the entrepreneur who walks away from a low-ball offer, not out of pride, but out of knowing that saying no to what's misaligned creates space for what's aligned. It's the person who invests in themselves, in their education, their health, their growth, even when money is tight, because they understand that they are their greatest asset. It's the mindset that says, I don't have the money yet, but I'll figure it out, instead of, I can't afford it, so I won't even try. And here's where the transformation happens. When you start operating from this frequency, life stops feeling like a grind. Work stops feeling like survival. You start seeing everything as an investment, every interaction, every skill you learn, every risk you take. You're not just trying to get by, you're building, creating, expanding. And the energy you bring to that process changes the outcome entirely. Wealthy people don't just work hard, everyone works hard. Wealthy people work with intention, with vision, with the unshakable belief that their effort will compound into something significant. They don't question if it's possible, they question how. How can I make this work? How can I solve this problem? How can I turn this obstacle into an opportunity? The language is different, the questions are different, the frequency is different. And here's the beautiful part. Once you tap into this frequency, once you genuinely embody it, you start to realize that wealth isn't the goal, it's the byproduct. The real goal is freedom, the freedom to choose, to create, to give. To live according to your values rather than your fears. Money becomes a tool for that freedom, not the thing you're enslaved to. And that shift from being controlled by money to using money as a tool is the ultimate liberation. You stop checking your bank account with anxiety and start checking it with curiosity. You stop seeing bills as burdens and start seeing them as proof that you have resources flowing through your life. You stop feeling guilty for spending on yourself and start honoring your needs as valid and important. You stop comparing yourself to others and start running your own race, because you're not in competition, you're in creation. And creation has no scarcity. This is the frequency where miracles become normal, where what used to feel impossible starts to feel inevitable. Where you stop asking the universe for permission and start claiming what's already yours. Not through force, not through manipulation, but through alignment, through becoming the energetic match for the life you desire. Let's talk about what this looks like in practice, because theory is beautiful, but application is everything. Shifting to the millionaire frequency requires conscious daily choices. It requires reprogramming decades of conditioning. It requires catching yourself every time you slip into lack mentality and choosing a different thought, a different belief, a different action. It starts with the way you speak. Listen to your language. Do you say, I'm broke? Or do you say, I'm in a transitional phase? Do you say, I can't afford it? Or do you say, that's not a priority right now? The words you use shape your reality. They reinforce your identity. Wealthy people don't identify with lack, even when they're in challenging financial situations. They know it's temporary, they know it's not who they are, and that knowing, that refusal to claim poverty as an identity, keeps them vibrating at a higher frequency. It continues with the way you handle money, even small amounts. Do you treat your last $20 with respect, or do you throw it away on something meaningless because it's only $20? Wealthy people understand that how you do anything is how you do everything. If you're careless with small amounts, you'll be careless with large amounts. If you don't respect the money you have now, why would the universe trust you with more? This isn't about being cheap. It's about being intentional. It's about honoring the energy exchange that money represents. It shows up in your environment. Look around you. Does your space reflect abundance or chaos? Clutter is stagnant energy. Disorder is a frequency disruptor. You don't need a mansion to embody wealth, but you do need order, beauty, intentionality. Even if you're in a small apartment, make it a space that feels abundant, that honors you, that says, I am worthy of beauty and comfort and peace, because your external environment mirrors your internal state. And when you elevate your environment, you elevate your frequency. It lives in your associations. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they people who complain about money, who gossip about the rich, who celebrate mediocrity? Or are they people who inspire you, challenge you, believe in possibility? You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you want to operate at the millionaire frequency, you need to be around people who already vibrate there, not to use them, but to learn from them, to normalize success, to see that it's possible because it's real in your immediate sphere, and perhaps most importantly, it requires you to take action from alignment rather than desperation. This is the part most people miss. They think shifting frequency means sitting on a meditation cushion, visualizing wealth while doing nothing. But frequency without action is just fantasy. The millionaire frequency is energized. It's dynamic, it moves, it creates, it takes risks. But the risks are calculated, the moves are strategic, the energy is confident, not frantic. You're not hustling from fear, you're building from vision, and that distinction changes everything. When you operate from the millionaire frequency, failure stops being something to avoid and becomes data, information, feedback. You try something, it doesn't work. You adjust, you try again. You don't internalize the failure as proof that you're not worthy. You see it as part of the process, because wealthy people fail more than poor people. They just don't quit. They don't interpret temporary setbacks as permanent identity. They stay in the frequency of, this is happening for me, not to me, and they keep moving. This is the shift that changes lives, from victimhood to creatorship, from scarcity to abundance, from fear to trust. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice, a daily recommitment to seeing yourself differently, speaking to yourself differently, showing up differently. Some days you'll slip back into old patterns. You'll feel the fear, the doubt, the contraction, and that's okay. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be consistent. You just have to keep choosing the higher frequency even when the lower one feels more familiar. Because here's what happens when you stay committed to this shift. Life starts to feel effortless in a way it never has before, not because you're not working, but because you're in flow. You're no longer swimming upstream, fighting against your own limiting beliefs. You're moving with the current of your highest potential. Opportunities appear, resources materialize, people show up to help. And you realize that abundance was never about luck. It was always about alignment. It was always about becoming the version of yourself that already has what you desire. Not in some distant future, but now. In the way you think, the way you feel, the way you move through the world. The millionaire frequency isn't about the money. It never was. It's about the person you become in pursuit of it. It's about the expansion of your capacity to receive, to create, to trust. It's about stepping into the fullness of who you are and letting the world respond to that. And when you do, when you truly embody this frequency, you'll look back and realize that the struggle was never about money. It was about you learning to believe that you are worthy of a life that feels abundant, free, and aligned. So here's my invitation to you. Stop chasing, start becoming, stop focusing on what you lack, start embodying what you desire. Stop waiting for permission from the universe, from your circumstances, from anyone. Start claiming the frequency that is your birthright. Not because you have to, but because you can. Because on the other side of that shift is a version of your life you can't even imagine from where you're standing now. A version where money is easy, where success is natural, where you finally feel free. And if this resonated with something deep inside you, if you felt a shift happen while listening to these words, don't let this moment pass. Like this video, not for the algorithm but as a marker, a commitment to yourself that you're choosing differently from this moment forward. Subscribe because this is just the beginning. And share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's ready to stop struggling and start thriving, because the world needs more people operating from abundance, more people who understand that wealth isn't about taking, it's about becoming. And you, right now, have everything you need to make that shift. The only question is, will you? The Cipher of Inner Stillness is a poetic journey through the hidden geometry of peace. Blending mystical philosophy, Jungian psychology, and cosmic symbolism, this ebook reveals that silence is not the absence of life, it is its source. Discover this and other codices that transform the way you see the universe through the link in the description.